All right, hello friends, welcome back to another episode, and today we're talking beauty interventions and some of the things that we've been doing with our faces lately. I know I'm always curious about what people do and don't do, and I just as a personal pet peeve get really pissed off when people do stuff and then claim they don't.
Yeah, that's not nice.
We will never gatekeep here or tell furfies of that nature. But I also think there is a spectrum of like where people are comfortable. And although I would say Nat and I are probably very similar and we probably sit in a similar space on the spectrum, it is a spectrum. And some of the things that I know I'm going to talk about today, there'll be some naturopaths that'll be like, I would never do that. And that's totally fine. You have to do what you're comfortable with, what aligns with your values and what you feel is in line with your highest good. But the purpose of today is really just to, I guess, give you a peek behind the curtain and let you know what we're currently up to, what we're rating, what we're maybe tried and thought, didn't really rate that either. And you might learn something here that you haven't heard of before that might also align with you as well. I know one of our most popular episodes was alternatives to Botox. And I think that is the episode I've received the most questions and feedback on, which I completely understand, because if you value your health and you value your looks, but sometimes the things you can do for your looks contradict your values with health, it kind of leaves you and we're both of an age where we're also like struggling with that a little bit. So the purpose of this episode is just a lighthearted, fun look at what we're currently flirting with, trying, what we think, and take it or leave it.
Yes, I love that. And I actually find this really challenging in terms of I have parts of me that absolutely don't give a shit about any of it. Like truly, most of the time I don't care, and I don't put a lot of effort into much of my appearance. And it's not because I think it's actually a conditioning for me in terms of my mum and a lot of my closest friends growing up. It just wasn't really a thing. And I'm not saying that's good nor bad. It's just I've been reflecting on like, where does my lack of care come from? But then also there's this contrast of more so having my face out there and feeling like there's an expectation that I look a certain way to reflect my health, which by default in some people's mind would reflect my knowledge. And so that's where sometimes my insecurity can come from, is that I feel a pressure to look a certain way, being in the role that I am, for people to take what I have to say seriously about health or beauty or wellness or whatever it might be. But what I find even harder is that I also have a really strong part of my personality and part of my belief, like internal belief system for myself, around I don't want to contribute to like the story that we have to look a certain way in order to be valued, particularly as we age. But then I also hold no judgment on people who are actively doing things to try and, slow down the process of aging, because I get it feels good to look good and to look youthful. So it's like you can hear even in the way I'm speaking about it, even internally for me, there's a push-pull. And I think that probably surprisingly to some, the actual what's going in my body is not the most important part of the conversation for me. It's what message am I sending to other women or to my future children if I have a daughter about, what you need to do. And it's really hard. It's really layered, and it's more layered being in an area where there is a lot of absolutely incredibly beautiful looking people, and also in a space where, for better or worse, people do look and people do judge you when you're in a health industry.
Yes, absolutely. And I don't think you're alone. I think every woman has this internal conflict around rebelling against, whether it's artificial beauty standards that keep changing. I mean, you get to a certain age where you don't give a fuck anymore about the beauty standards because you've seen them come and go. And for me personally, I just want to look like the best, most vibrant version of myself. And I think my thing is I want to look like how I feel on the inside as well. For instance, I couldn't care less about my crow's feet. I bloody love them. That's a reflection of how many times I've laughed and smiled and, enjoyed life. But having been through a really stressful time in the last few years, I really noticed like this downturn of my mouth. And I'll tell you what I've been doing in a minute around that. But it's because I look sad, and it's like, well, I have been sad, but also I'm changing that now, and through that biofeedback in my face, like I want that joy that's returning internally to be reflected in my face as well. And yeah, it is like, I think, as a girl, can I still call myself a girl?
You can call yourself whatever
Just
you want,
a girl in
dolls.
the world, who's like prone to congestion and breakouts, being an ex-PCOS girly, I was always flirting with the edge of that. Definitely. And also as a presenter, someone who's been very visible in this industry for a couple of decades and been on TV and been on stages, I've the one thing I have sometimes felt self-conscious about is if I've broken out, like if I've got a pimple or something. But I mean, you're also human and you have skin, and that's literally what happens. So it is a real tug of war of like catching myself, any self-judgment. I definitely don't compare myself anymore. I probably did in my early 20s. Now it's just about, making sure I'm the most radiant version of myself, but also when I feel good, like when I feel like I look good, whatever that means, I feel good and I feel mentally, I don't have my mental real estate being taken up with self-consciousness. And as someone who had really bad skin when I was younger and would get up before my boyfriend woke up to put makeup on, I really know what it's like to have a lot of my headspace taken up with trying to, cover things up or shift my appearance, and I don't ever want to feel like that again. So for me, it's actually the freedom to feel good and to just have nothing in my field other than a generous, happy, buoyant spirit who's excited about life. Yeah. So yes, I suppose with that in mind, that's why we're sharing this.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that perspective, and it's good to have these conversations because I do think we're not the only ones, and certainly wouldn't be the only ones in this space. And I think especially when you are someone who deeply cares about your health, I feel like you come up against more barriers of like, where do I draw the line than perhaps someone who that's not their values or not in their awareness. It's probably a lot easier to say yes to what seems like a simple intervention here and there. So totally. Yeah, I hear you. Well, probably some context before we talk about what we're doing for our skin is helpful in terms of just understanding our skin types, because that obviously to a degree is going to dictate what we've done and what's worked for us and what hasn't.
Yes.
And of the two of us, far more about topical skin care, just skin stuff, beauty in general. So I'll tell you what I think my skin type is, and you can weigh in if you're like, hold up, no. I'd say that I generally have pretty good skin as far as I'm not someone who has had acne. I had maybe like a very small amount when I was a teenager in a very isolated period, but generally speaking, have not struggled with a lot of breakouts. And I'm also not someone who's ever had like eczema or rosacea or psoriasis or dermatitis. Like that's not been my health struggles. I've had other ones. But what I would say is I'm freckly. I have, although I do tan, my face doesn't really change that much. And so, yeah, I've got lots of freckles on my face. I would say that I have a very strong tendency towards dehydrated skin. And that has been and still is my biggest struggle. I definitely have spent most of my life out in the sun and most of it not wearing sunscreen. Probably only started to do that in the last 5 years really consistently in terms of on my face every day. And when I say a lot of sun exposure, I mean like I've lived a very outdoors kind of life. And so consequently, I feel like I've had a lot of, I get a lot of dehydration lines. And then also I've obviously got a little bit of sun damage, a little bit of pigmentation. And I've also got some wrinkles through the fact that I've not done much to not have them. I'm a very expressive person. So I would say I've done a lot of smiling, a lot of laughing, a lot of crying, a lot of frowning, just a lot of everything because I'm a Leo, so we don't do things in halves. And I'd also say that probably because I've had relatively okay skin most of my life in terms of haven't struggled like you have with acne in your younger years, and because, as I shared earlier, beauty hasn't been a big priority in my life. I've had other things that both other struggles and insecurities in terms of body image and just other things. I didn't spend a lot of time in any part of my life really investing in skincare, understanding it, using it consistently. So I don't have a lot else to say around that, but would you agree? Like I've kind of got that kind of dry skin predisposition.
Yeah, I mean, your skin is absolutely beautiful and luscious.
Thank you.
And I would say, yes, if you tend toward anything, like when you're skewing away from normal skin, whatever that is, it is tendency to dehydration. So dehydration lines, which would make things look more pronounced, and obviously having led a really outdoor life without protecting your face, which is always exposed to outdoor light. You know, not 24/7. It's only during daylight, but but just all year round, right?
Yeah.
Like even in winter when we're covered up, it's the tops of our hands and our face. So, and I think also your challenges with estrogen. Estrogen also contributes to elasticity and plumpness, and I think because that's not always been optimal, that has also contributed a little bit. But yeah, I think your assessment's fair, and those things can have you look in a mirror and go, oh, do I look tired? Why do things not look like I think they should look?
Yeah.
And I really do appreciate though, like, I had friends like you whose skin was just great all the time, and so they could just splash water on their face and go. Whereas for me, like as a teenager, I had horrific skin, and, I started making my own skincare. I studied to be an esthetician, so a beauty therapist. I am a beauty therapist. I even had formulated a commercial skincare range. I was really passionate about it, mainly out of self-interest, as these things usually are. And I can't say, though, I really had a dialed-in skincare routine until I think I started taking it more seriously at around 33, and then sort of around 41 started actually doing all of the things that I should do. And that's because I sorted my skin out from an internal perspective, and then I got a little blasé. I was like, well, if I don't need to, I don't need to. So other than just sort of decongesting techniques. So for me, I always tend towards oily. Interestingly though, oily skin is often actually dehydrated. So it's this funny paradox. And for me, yeah, it's definitely congestion prone. Oily skin definitely ages differently to skin that tends towards dry. And I think some people perceive oily skin to be aging slower, but it's just a different style of aging. But certainly for me, yeah, I've also taken things for granted a little bit, and I feel like I'm doing a bit more heavy lifting now. But how about I dive in?
You should.
To what I'm doing.
In. Tell us what you've tried / what you're doing, and what have you loved?
Okay, so great skin is an inside job, of course, and we could talk for ages about that, but I want to just highlight the two things that I do and have done consistently for the last almost 20 years, which I think make a huge difference. And that is taking resveratrol every day in different forms. Sometimes it's like
Sometimes it's red wine.
Sometimes, yeah. Nice glass of Shiraz. No. Well, that is true. That being said, the optimal dose is like 100 milligrams. Well,
kidding.
100 milligrams is equivalent to 66 bottles of wine. Pretty sure your skin's going to look shit. So, you'll be in hospital with alcohol poisoning if you're not dead, if you try and get it that way. But I don't mind topping up that way occasionally. But that, you know, I'll take between 100 and 200 milligrams. It switches on the anti-aging gene. It's phytoestrogenic, which is also helpful. There's just a bunch, increases the rate of repair and regeneration, which of course slows down over time. And I've seen some pretty miraculous results in women older than me when it was originally in a product that I formulated and launched, and I take something similar now. The other thing is omega-7 or palmitoleic acid. So everyone's probably heard of omega-3, 6, 9, but omega-7 is specific for epithelial tissue only, which is the lining of the nose, throat, gut, reproductive tract. Amazing for vaginal dryness. That was a whole U-turn, but just like...
That's right. I was going to say it if you didn't.
Perimenopausal, menopausal women. Spectacular. It just hydrates and keeps everything juicy. Same with your skin.
Honestly, you could sell anything. I know we're not selling this right now, but I'm just like...
You're like, take my money.
Yeah.
Where do I get it? I want 5.
I need to bring some dollar bills to this podcast and just start throwing them out at you.
Throw them over at me. So so those two things. So even though I tend to oily, it is like it's the essential fatty acid that our body uses to moisturize us from the inside out. And I absolutely credit that to my dewiness. It's not just the greasiness. Promise. So they're the oral things. But now that we've got those out of the way, again, I'm very late to the party. I have absolutely taken my elasticity for granted. And if you are younger than me, I'm 46, by the way, get onto this early. I wish I'd started in my 30s. But anyway, red light therapy. Now, I don't own a fancy, expensive red light mask. I bought a red light box, a mini one, at the age of 41 when I got my implants out for healing. And what I love about it is you can kind of hold it over anywhere in the body. And I haven't been consistent with it, but I go through little bursts. And during like the weeks I'm using it 2-3 times a week, my God, you can tell. So I think what I need to do is put it somewhere where I can just like out of sight, out of mind. So I need to put it somewhere where I visually see it and do it when I'm, say, reading a book or something, so I can get more. But that really makes a huge difference.
Maybe you could do it while you're getting your resveratrol top up.
Ooh, I like it. Red wine and red light. What a beauty combo. I'm
On brand.
So here for that. Sounds like the title of a great blog post.
It does.
Yeah. Now I have experimented with gua sha and cupping, and I'm someone who just, I don't know, maybe it's the congestion thing, the lymph doesn't flow as nicely as I would like. And so I've been experimenting with self-massage, gua sha and cupping. And I don't know why, but there's something about cupping that like triggers dopamine for me. And that gua sha doesn't. Mm-hmm. And so I've been a lot more consistent with that, and I can really see the difference in like my bone structure coming through, just moving the fluid out. I feel like I've had many years of being very stressed. So I think I'm just a bit cortisol facey and doughy. I feel a bit doughy sometimes. And this is actually really...
Like that time you did that interview and you looked like a potato on the couch. Do you remember that? The TV.
Oh, God. Oh, thanks for bringing that up. That was national television too. God, that was terrible.
You did not look like yourself, which is why I can laugh about it, because I don't know what happened. And I know the same thing has happened to me on film. Like, fuck. Yeah. I don't know how... I was having this conversation with one of my best friends the other day of like how different I feel like I look, and she felt the same.
Yeah.
In the mirror.
Yes.
Versus photos and video. And this a media team came to Amy's house to film a segment for TV.
Yeah.
And whatever happened or did not happen, she just looked like Mr. Potato Head on the couch.
Thanks. I love you too.
I was like, oh no.
It was diabolical.
You're going to hate this. Like, you still looked beautiful because you always do, but
it was
knowing what
face.
you actually look like and then what was being presented on screen, I was like, this is not gone to plan.
So that was definitely partly cortisol. So this was probably the most shocking week of my life.
You're like, wait, there's been some doozies lately.
There's been some doozies.
But yeah, it was a bad one.
It was a really bad one. And I'd had a news story go viral around the globe actually about the experience I had with toxic mold and what it did to me. I was on national news, you know, in Portugal, Italy, like USA, and then it got picked up by Sunrise. But I had a really unwell cat. I was really stressed. I wasn't sleeping well. And then it was a really early morning start as well. So my stress hormones were going crazy. And then it was also the angle of the camera, and my couch is quite low, and it was just really awkward. I was awkwardly positioned. I was like, it was just diabolical. But anyway, whatever. I should have cupped all night.
I don't know if that would have even saved you.
I don't think it would have, but it's definitely helping me now. And I initially started with some just cheap silicone cups off Amazon, but they started to degrade, so I invested in a better pair. I also bought the Chinese glass ones, but I'm actually can't travel with them because I'm scared they're going to break, and washing them, the way they're constructed, I feel like I can't clean and dry the inside. So actually I'm not really using those. So I'm just using these silicone ones. So loving that. I've also just recently started using Tretinoin, which is like retinoic acid. It's like really strong vitamin A. I'm going through a bit of the purge at the moment because it sort of really accelerates skin turnover.
Right.
But what I'm looking forward to on the other side is refining my skin texture, because I lean towards high androgens and stress shows up on my face and my skin. I have large pores. I have skin texture from, you know, acne scarring and post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. So I'm using it to refine my skin texture. But what scares me about it is because you're shedding skin so much faster, you have to be incredibly diligent with sunscreen and sun protection. And although I am good with wearing sunscreen, I can be a little bit blasé, and I'm just having to be a bit more particular. Something I have done recently, well, it was probably I'm actually due to get it done again, probably about 6 months ago though. Just to finish the conversation on Tret. So I am going to swap to a retinol after I'm finished this tube, just to maintain my results, because it's much less aggressive, but is a lot more effective than retinol. I think everyone's heard of retinol, which is just the, you know, molecular name for vitamin A. But retinol has to be converted through a couple of steps to go to retinoic acid, which is the active component. Retinol is actually a step ahead. It kind of sits in the middle of Tret and retinol, and is definitely more effective. So I will report back about that. But something I have done, which is probably, could you define it as natural or not? Depends on who you're asking, is PRF. So I have always had really hollow under eyes, literally since I was a teen. I think it's partly structural. I think also it didn't help with mold, just the circulation under there was really compromised. I've always had to conceal in the tear trough because it's looked really shadowy and made me look tired. I've never done anything about it, particularly because I don't want filler in my face, and it's also very dangerous to put filler there. Things can go really sideways. But there's a thing called PRF, which stands for platelet-rich fibrinogen, and basically they draw your blood like you're getting a blood test, they centrifuge it, and then they take the fibrinogen component and they inject it into your face like filler. but it's your own tissue. So, you know, if you cut yourself and then you've got that serum that's like weeping before the scab forms, the fibrinogen is part of what forms the scab. It forms a lattice of like tissue. And so it restructures the tissue. So if you'd like to see a photo of the immediate after, I will add it to our YouTube video actually.
She's becoming a YouTuber.
Well,
adding skin before and afters. Let's do it.
Try.
You should put a potato photo up too, just for the listeners.
That would be quite funny. Yes, I will because
You're a good team player.
I'm a good team player. I'm not going to pretend I look like this all the time. But the PRF, basically, it's not for the faint-hearted because they put it in a cannula and they put the cannula in here.
Where are you pointing for the listeners?
Okay, for the listeners, if you're not watching on YouTube, come to YouTube. But I'm pointing to if you go to kind of the outer edge of your eye and drop down to the cheekbone, the cannula goes in there and then it's pushed without anesthetic all the way through to here.
Nah, you've lost me.
Yeah, I know. I was holding that stress ball and then it's just kind of laid like a gel through that area. Also with aging, I don't really know much about the aesthetics of aging, but the fat pads of your face start to go south because gravity is just going to gravity. And so you can start to get this kind of line here, which I am certain is returning. And so she put some through there. So it acts like filler, but it's not a foreign substance. It doesn't crystallize. It doesn't affect your lymphatics. It doesn't trigger an immune reaction. Like as far as I'm concerned, I'm really comfortable with that. It's my own tissue. And you have to do 3 treatments 4 weeks apart, I think, if I'm remembering that correctly.
I feel like it was about 4 weeks apart because, I'm just remembering that.
Yeah, and basically only one time I got a tiny bruise because she hit a nerve, but it looks kind of fine on day 1, and then the following day, like, you look like you've got like a big sort of water bag under your eyes, and that's the photo I will share. Kind of looks like a giant blister, if you like, because all the fluids kind of being attracted to that area for healing. But within a couple of days, it's totally back to normal. And then, you have that series of treatments. And then I think you top up every 6 to 12 months after that. And I feel like I've just started looking at that part of my face going, oh, yeah, I'm probably due for a top up. But it was $400 a treatment. So it's not cheap, but also, I mean, compared to what? And I felt like it was really worth it. The payoff was, and I just didn't look in the mirror thinking, I look really tired and hollow, which just stopped me even having to think about doing anything there. So I would definitely get that done again. Absolutely loved it. And then the other thing that I am considering, which is surgical.
Oh, tell us.
Yes. So this is not natural. Is an upper blepharoplasty.
What is that?
So it is surgery to remove excess skin from the upper eyelid.
Oh.
I haven't talked to you about this, have I?
I don't. Oh, maybe you did because we're having a conversation about you. Yeah, anyway, go ahead for the listeners. I don't need to.
So I have really hooded eyelids, and it's genetic, as in both my mum and dad have super hooded eyelids. I've had them since I remember looking in the mirror. They have never bothered me. I don't mind. I actually quite like a hooded eyelid, but with age, it's become more pronounced, and I'm kind of joking when I say this, but my eyes have a foreskin now. It's not even really about how they look, but they feel heavy. I just feel like it's always weighing my eyelid down, so my eyes feel tired all the time. I feel like it makes me feel tired even if I'm not. And what I do find myself is I constantly lifting my eyebrows to kind of get it off my eyelid, and it's starting to really just piss me off and like take my attention. I don't know if I am definitely going to go through with this, but I feel like it's only going to get worse with time. And so if I don't do it now, I will probably do it later. And essentially, I think you can get it done under topical anesthetic, so you don't need general, which is what I would opt for. And I would be asking for a very conservative bleph to be done. I'm actually still very happy to have hooded eyelids. I just want some of it gone, so it's just not weighing on my eyes anymore. So if I do that, of course, we'll do a podcast on it and I'll share how I prepared and how I healed.
Yes.
I feel like it's inevitable that I will, because it's just really starting to just make me just feel tired all of the time. But anyway, that's all of my stuff.
That's all your stuff. Well, thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
That's awesome, because I know that there's a lot in that for, you know, whatever level people want to engage in it with, if they do at all, or even just some threads for people to investigate further. For me, it's a much shorter list. But I would say I wear sunscreen daily now, which actually I forgot today, but we're just in the studio and whatever. So I wear sunscreen daily now. I actually do use a natural one. I don't think that's right for everybody from what I've seen. I use a natural one. It's called avocado zinc, but it's not zinc. It's just sunscreen. But the brand is avocado, I think. And because I have dry skin, for me, a lot of those really oily hydrating kind of ones work. They don't break me out. Whereas a lot of people who have congested skin like you, that often doesn't work for. So I do that. I do actually do my skincare routine, as in I moisturize day and night. I don't know that I've used a few different skincare brands, so I don't really know what's working yet, because I've flip-flopped around like a fish out of water. So once I land on something that I feel like has worked, I'll share it with people. The other things I've tried is I have tried those silica patches, and they definitely work, but it's short-lived, as in I feel like for me, part of the reason why they work is also probably trapping in moisture. So I do notice that it's probably helpful if you do them right before
an event.
Yeah, an event. Or I've gotten really lazy with it. I did it, I think, maybe for a month before we were recording something, or before a photo shoot. I think I did it. But then I was like, I can't be bothered, and I don't like the feel of things on my face. So effective but short-lived. I have got a red light therapy device. I actually bought it for my mum when she was going through some skin issues. Like you, I'm really terrible at remembering to use it, as in I really don't use it at all. But when I have used it, very similar to you, I definitely notice a difference in just the glowiness and the general health and inflammation of my skin. So I should get back to using that. But so effective, but only when you use it. The other thing is I have tried skin needling in the past, and I'd say that it definitely gave my skin a good glow, but I don't know. I feel like, again, it was something that, like most things with your skin, it only really worked when I was being relatively consistent with it, and I stopped being consistent with it because obviously once you've had something like that done, it's ideal that you don't expose yourself to sunlight, go in the ocean, and for whatever reason, I can't stay out of the sun and the ocean. And when someone tells me I want to do it even less. So effective, but not for me, because I just can't seem to follow the advice.
Well, it just goes against your daily natural lifestyle.
Yeah,
so just it's not
basically.
congruent.
Yeah, basically. So that's all I've kind of done. Is there anything I'm considering doing? Not really at the moment, because I think I've just come to the conclusion that my care for it seems fleeting, and that my strategy at the moment is ignorance is bliss. So I just don't spend a lot of time looking at myself in the mirror. I still struggle when I see myself on camera at times. But again, and probably I've put a lot of work into my overcoming my eating disorder. So maybe there's some there's a bit of overlap in kind of going, I care in the moment, and then I'm like, but what am I going to do about it? Like, as in, I don't care enough to do anything about it. So I move on. And I think, it's just, I just can see that it's not important enough to me. But I might have a similar journey to you, where once I reach my, later 30s or 40s, maybe I'll start to care more, or it'll be more in my face. But at the moment, I definitely am trying to keep my skin a lot more hydrated, so that I'm not adding more fuel to the wrinkles by making dehydration lines as well. And I'm certainly I'm going to try and put more effort into using the red light therapy because it's already there. It's beneficial for my health overall anyway. And
it improves hydration.
And there you go, improves hydration. So
take it from me, from the girl who's 10 years down the road, give or take, get onto it. And I think the rest of it, you can push back a fair bit.
I make a commitment to doing it once a week to start with. I don't want to set myself up for something I can't achieve, but once a week feels like an easy start.
It can be red light besties. We can remind each other. Yes.
I love it.
I did think of just one last thing, actually, because I want to be obviously complete. I've just started doing a program called Face Fit.
I feel like you've mentioned this before.
Yes.
Like face yoga?
Yeah, kind of. So there's a lot of like social media accounts, people doing like face yoga things. I think some of them perhaps not so rooted in anatomy and physiology as they could be, and others that could be really quite good. But I have got some like myofunctional orofacial things going on from mouth breathing as a kid and then needing braces. And so I think it was $99 and you get access to the course for 6 weeks, but you get the downloadable PDF that shows you what to do. And to be honest, I think I bought it a couple of years ago and didn't do anything about it, but I've just started, and it's designed by myofunctional therapists. So it's about improving your functionality, which obviously improves symmetry, muscle tone. Like the way I look at it, you know, we exercise, we move our bodies. Like I do Pilates and we'll go to the gym, whatever, we're lifting weights, we're working out muscles in our body, but like not our face, other than just our natural movement. And so, and this is what I was saying when I was like, I've got the sad mouth. Like one of the exercises is to strengthen the cheek muscles. So I'll demo it for you, free lesson, everybody. So what you do is you clamp your lips shut, and I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. And then you smile, but not so hard that you bring in your eyes. So you're just working out the cheeks. So I'm going to try it with me. So go like, It's going to look really good on YouTube. And then you go.
I can't take you seriously.
Let me do it once for the people at home.
This is your mid-40s friends.
Mid-40s, yeah. Welcome to perimenopause. So you go like that. And so you don't want to go so high that your eyes get involved, but you're just working out those cheek muscles. Maybe not. Just get onto the red light and you won't have to do this. No.
Oh my God, I'm dying.
Anyway, what I've learned is if I do it driving in the car, I'll do it because I'm just not doing anything anyway. And so I'm just teaching myself one exercise a week and really nailing it, because getting the technique is the key. And then I don't know, hopefully by the end of the year I'll look like I've had a facelift.
I hope so. I hope you haven't put all of that effort in for no reason.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Well, you can be the judge.
Yeah. Well, I just want to see a performance of it, because that was great. Just if I'm ever feeling down, I'm going to bring that image back to mind.
Thanks.
All right, friends. Well, hopefully that has been interesting, helpful. If there's anything else that you are doing that you want us to know about, please share. Clearly we maybe share with me. It seems like I need some extra ones. No, I probably won't do it. So maybe share with you instead.
Yeah. I'll put that in my pocket.
Yeah, that's it. All right. And we will be back with you again next week.
See you, friends.